So once you have your pocket sewn into place and you have your second line sewn down, you're going to fold it in half, good side to good side. And at a 1/2 inch, we're going to back stitch and sew all the way down at a 1/2 inch. So now that we've closed the side of the exterior pocket together, we're going to attach the circle bottom half of the duffel bag onto the bottom half of the exterior of the bag. So what I like to do is I like to keep it folded in half, and then on the halfway mark, I like to push in and recut my notch. And then also on here, I like to fold it in half, make sure that my notch is in its perfect spot. Just cut that. And then fold it in half again. And then make sure my notch is on 4 corners. Once that's done, I'm going to open up my bag. On the side seam, I'm going to open up the side seam and lay it out flat. And I'm going to match up a notch to the seam of the bag. Good side to good side. So good side to good side, I'm going to match up that notch and I'm going to pin it. Now I'm going to pin the bottom half all the way around, just so I know that everything's going to fit perfectly as I'm sewing the bag together. Okay, so once I've pinned the whole bottom, I'm going to sew it down at a 1/2 inch at the sewing machine. Remember to back stitch and then just adjust your circle as you're sewing, and then take your pins out as you go and just follow the curve. And I'm always making sure that I'm lining up the edges so they're nice and even and following the curve of the circle. Then when you're going to reach back to the beginning, I want you guys to overlap on the seam. So make sure the stitches meet up, and then you're going to overlap a little bit and back stitch. And you have your circle sewn. For the lining part, the first thing we want to do is we want to get our piece of interfacing, cut out a 2-inch long strip, and then we're going to iron it on the top part of the bag. So we're going to go ahead and iron on your interfacing here. So once you're done adding your interfacing up on top, you're going to fold it in half, good side to good side, exactly how we did it with the exterior part of the bag. So good side to good side, and you're going to sew down at a 1/2 inch. Once you have stitched down at a 1/2 inch, at the bottom part, you're going to attach the circle onto the bag. Go ahead and pin it and sew. For the lining of the bag, we have to add a bias on top of the bag. So let's flip this right side out. And I'm going to lay the seam flat open and I'm going to attach my bias just like how we did on the pocket, and I'm going to attach it all the way around, and I'll show you how to do it on the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm going to get the bias, and I'm going to lay my lining down, and I'm going to get the bias just how we did with the other one, and I'm going to open it up, and on that first crease I'm going to stitch it down and go all the way around the top part. Make sure you're moving the bottom half of the bag so you're not sewing it together. You're only sewing through one part. And then I'm going to have my needle down. And before I get to this edge here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to overlap it, and I'm going to cut about a ½ inch over and cut that bias piece off. Now I'm going to fold up. Just make sure that it reaches that seam, and then you're going to go over the seam. And then you're going to match up that seam and backstitch. And the same thing now, we're going to fold it over and you're going to close it off. And then you're going to do your top stitch. I'm using the end of the bias to match up the end of this foot as my guide. When you get to the end, I want you to fold it up and then fold it again so you have a nice clean edge. And then you're going to match it up, and you're going to continue with your bias tape. So you just have to make sure you make a new seam and it looks cohesive. Once you fold the bias, it's going to look like this, and then you're going to sew it closed and matching up with the seam here. So I'm going to hold it down with my finger. If you want to pin it down, you can. And then I'm going to have my seam finish off with the seam, matching and backstitch.